Hello, and welcome back to the channel. Tonight, we're going to journey together to one of the most mysterious fortresses in Persian history. Alamut Castle, a place that has held centuries of silence deep within the Alborz mountains, beneath the heavy snow of winter. I've crafted this story so you can simply close your eyes, breathe slowly, and let my voice guide you, step by step, up through the snow toward that quiet mountain fortress, into a deep and peaceful sleep. Before we begin, if you enjoy this kind of storytelling, please leave a like, and make sure to subscribe, because every week, we take a new journey into the history and culture of ancient Persia. Now, dim the lights, settle beneath your blanket, and let our journey to Alamut begin. Chapter 1: The Snowy Mountain Path. The evening comes slowly, gently, without hurry. It arrives the way all quiet evenings do, settling over the mountains like a soft breath, like the exhale of something ancient and patient, drifting down from the high peaks of the Alborz, carrying with it the first cold hush of winter. You stand for a moment, perfectly still, and you feel it. The cold, pure and clean, touching your cheeks softly, pressing gently against your wool-wrapped shoulders, filling your lungs with air that tastes of pine and ice and distant snow. You breathe in, slowly, and you breathe out. And the mountain breathes with you. All around you, the world has grown very quiet, very still, as though the entire Alborz range has paused, as though every tree and every stone and every frozen stream has drawn in a long, slow breath, and simply held it, waiting for the snow. And then, it begins. The first snowflake falls. You see it before you feel it, a single pale shape drifting through the air above you, catching the last faint color of the sky, turning slowly, unhurried, as though it has traveled a very long way to reach this particular valley, this particular mountain path, this particular evening. It lands on your sleeve. A perfect six-pointed star of ice, so delicate, so impossibly thin, that for a moment you simply look at it, and everything else in the world falls away. Then another snowflake falls, and another. And slowly, softly, the snow begins to come. Not in gusts, not in storms, but gently, the way a mother pulls a blanket over a sleeping child, with care, with tenderness, with no hurry at all. You begin to walk. Your boots press into the fresh white powder along the ancient mountain path, and the sound they make is the softest sound you have ever heard. A gentle compression, a quiet whisper, as though the snow itself is welcoming each step, making room for you, inviting you forward. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Each step is slow, deliberate, peaceful. The path winds ahead of you through tall pine trees, their dark branches already dusted with white, their shapes rising on either side like patient, silent guardians, standing watch over the mountain trail as they have stood for centuries, unchanged, unmoved, steady. You pass between two great pines, their trunks wider than your arms could reach, their bark rough and dark and ancient, and you feel, as you pass, the faint warmth of their shelter, the way they hold the wind back just slightly, the way they create a pocket of stillness in the winter air. You pause beneath them. And you listen. The silence of the mountain at this hour is unlike any silence you have ever known. It is not empty. It is full of soft sound and gentle texture. The faint rush of wind moving high above the tree line. The occasional soft collapse of snow from a heavy branch. The distant sound of water moving somewhere deep beneath the frozen ground, the creak of an old pine settling into the coal. These sounds do not disturb the silence. They are part of it. They deepen it, the way a single candle makes a room feel darker and warmer at the same time. You breathe out, and your breath rises in a small white cloud, curling slowly upward before dissolving into the cold mountain air. And then you walk on. The path curves gently to the left, following the natural contour of the mountain slope, rising slightly with each step, so that the world you are walking through grows wider with every few paces, the valley opening below you, the mountains rising above you on both sides like the walls of a great and ancient hall. The sky above is a color you cannot quite name. It is not quite dark, but the sun is long gone, and in its absence the sky has taken on a deep luminous blue, the blue of deep water, the blue of mountain shadows, the blue of winter dusk settling over the Alborz range as it has settled for 1,000 years. Against this blue, the snowflakes fall. You can see each one individually as they drift past your lantern's light, tiny sparks of white against the vast blue dusk, falling with perfect patience, with perfect silence, each one following its own quiet path downward through the still air. Your lantern. You hold it gently, its warm amber glow cupped inside the glass, steady, calm, a small sun you carry with you through the mountain dark. The light it casts is golden. It reaches perhaps 10 steps ahead of you along the path, illuminating the fresh snow, the dark edges of stones embedded in the trail, the roots of old trees that cross the path like sleeping serpents, the prints of small animals that have walked this same route before you. A fox, perhaps, or a mountain hare. Their tracks appear in the snow and then vanish between the trees, little mysteries of the winter forest, brief signatures of life moving quietly through the night. You follow the path. Your lantern swings gently as you walk, casting its light in a slow, soft rhythm, left and right, forward and back, a gentle breathing of illumination against the growing dark. The pine trees grow thicker here, pressing in closer on either side of the trail, their branches meeting overhead in places to form a canopy of snow-laden boughs, and walking beneath them is like walking through a series of white-roofed rooms, each one opening into the next, each one filled with the same deep quiet, the same soft cold. The smell of pine is everywhere. Rich and clean, a dark green scent that fills your chest with something that feels very much like peace, like the memory of peace, like something you have always known and only now are remembering. You breathe it in. And you walk on. The snow has been falling for some time now, and the path ahead is unmarked, a smooth white ribbon winding up through the trees, your boots the only thing disturbing its perfect surface. There is something deeply satisfying about this. About being the first to walk a path in fresh snow, about leaving your footprints in that untouched white, about knowing that behind you, the trail tells a quiet story, a story with no drama, no urgency, only the simple record of one person walking slowly up a mountain on a winter evening. You stop. You turn, and you look back at your footprints trailing behind you through the snow. Each one a perfect impression of your boot, each one slightly deeper on the inside edge where your weight settles, each one already beginning to soften at the edges as more snow falls gently into them. By morning they may be gone, filled in by the quiet work of snowfall, smoothed back into that unbroken white surface, as though you had never passed. But that is all right. You turn back to the path ahead. And you walk on. The mountain is patient with you. It does not rush you. It does not ask you to move faster or slower. It simply waits, immovable, ancient, receiving the snow with the same calm it brings to every season, every storm, every century. You have walked this path before in your imagination, in dreams, in that half-waking space between sleep and waking when the mind moves freely through landscapes it has never seen but somehow knows. And now here you are, walking it in fact. Each step carrying you a little higher into the Alborz mountains, into the cold clear air above the world, into the particular stillness that only mountains in winter can offer. The path turns again, and as it turns, the trees thin slightly, and through the gaps between their trunks you catch the first glimpse of the valley spread far below. A deep shadow, soft and blue, filled with the shapes of distant hills and the occasional pale thread of a frozen stream catching the last light of the sky. It stretches away to the south, vast and quiet and very still, a world that has already retired for the night, already drawn its covers up, already begun to sink into the peaceful unconsciousness of deep winter. You stand at the edge of the tree line and look at it for a long moment. The vastness of it, the silence of it, settles into your chest like something warm. Like being held. Like being very small and completely safe at the same time. The snow falls between you and the valley, each flake catching the faint blue light as it passes, and for a moment the whole world seems made of nothing but soft light and quiet falling and the sound of your own breathing. In slowly, and out. You turn back to the path, and you continue upward. The trail here is older than you can easily imagine. Worn into the rock of the mountain by 1,000 years of footsteps, by merchants and travelers and pilgrims and scholars, by all the quiet human traffic that has moved up and down these slopes across the long centuries. In summer, this path would be lined with wild flow. Wares, the mountain herbs that fill the Alborz meadows with fragrance and color, chamomile and thyme and the wild roses that bloom briefly and brilliantly before the autumn comes. But in winter, the herbs sleep beneath the snow. Their roots curled warm in the frozen earth, waiting, patient, conserving everything they need for spring. You can almost smell them beneath the cold. A faint ghost of summer warmth beneath the clean ice scent of the mountain night. The path steepens slightly here, and you lean forward into the slope, your breath coming a little more deliberately now, each exhale a visible cloud that rises and disperses in the cold air above you. The crunch of your boots in the snow is the only sound. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Steady, slow, rhythmic. Like a clock wound down to its most peaceful setting. Like a heartbeat approaching rest. The pines around you are enormous here, their trunks rising straight and dark beside the trail, their upper branches invisible in the dark and snow above. Their lower boughs sweeping out wide and low, heavy with white. Snow falls from one of them as you pass. A soft collapse, a quiet sigh of displaced powder, settling back into silence almost before it has finished falling. You smile. The mountain makes its small jokes, its gentle surprises. And you walk on. Higher now. The air growing thinner and cleaner with each step, the cold becoming something you are aware of not as discomfort but as presence, as a companion walking beside you in the dark, cold and honest and strangely comforting. There is a clarity that comes with mountain cold, a stripping away of everything inessential. Up here, above the valleys, above the smoke and warmth and complicated life of the world below, there is only the snow and the path and the sound of your boots and the glow of your lantern and the vast blue patience of the winter sky. And this is enough. This is more than enough. This is everything. You pause on the path. Not because you are tired, but because something catches your eye. Through a gap in the trees above you, through the softly falling snow, through the deepening blue of the mountain dusk. A shape, dark and angular against the pale sky, rising from the ridge above you like something grown from the rock itself. A tower. No, 2 towers. And between them, the long low silhouette of ancient walls. Alamut. You stand very still, and you look at it for a long moment. The castle sits on a narrow ridge high above you, a dark shape against the luminous winter sky, its stones the same color as the mountain beneath them, as though it did not so much build as emerge from the rock, as though the mountain itself decided, one quiet century, to put on the form of a fortress. It is beautiful. In the way that ancient things are beautiful, in the way that things made to last are beautiful, the beauty not of ornament but of repose, of permanence, of something that has stood through winter after winter after winter and simply continued. You can see the faint orange glow of lanterns in the windows. Tiny warm sparks against the blue dark stone. Each one a small promise of warmth, of shelter, of rest. And something inside you, some deep quiet part of you, moves toward them. Not urgently, but steadily, the way a compass needle swings toward north, not with drama but with the simple, calm certainty of its nature. You begin to walk again. Your lantern swings gently in your hand. The snow falls softly all around you. And above you, patient and waiting, Alamut Castle holds its lanterns against the winter dark. The path narrows as it rises toward the ridge. Here the trees give way to exposed rock, great slabs of gray stone rising from the slope like the shoulders of sleeping giants, dusted now with white, their surfaces smooth and cold and ancient. The wind is stronger here. A gentle wind, a mountain wind, not harsh but persistent, pressing against your coat from the left, carrying with it the smell of high altitude, of clean rock and cold sky and something else, something faintly warm, the scent of cedar smoke drifting down from the castle above. You lift your face toward it. Cedar smoke and cold wind and falling snow. The combination is perfect. It is the smell of arrival, of coming home to a place you have never been but have always known was there. The path here is cut into the rock itself, narrow steps worn smooth by centuries of use, each one slightly different in height and depth, requiring your full attention, each one demanding a moment of care and presence. You set your boot on the first step, and then the next, and then the next. The stone is cold beneath your feet even through the thick soles of your boots, and you feel the weight of the mountain in each step, the density of it, the sheer, ancient solidity of rock that has been here since before memory. Your hand reaches out occasionally to touch the cliff face beside the path. Your fingers press against cold stone, feel its texture, its roughness, its patient indifference to the weather, to the centuries, to the small warm creature climbing slowly up its face in the winter dark. But even this indifference feels kind. Even the stone's patience feels like a form of welcome. Higher and higher. The snow falls more thickly now, coming in soft veils that drift across the path and obscure the distance ahead. Your lantern holds its circle of golden warmth around you. And within that circle you walk. Step by step, breath by breath, crunch by crunch in the softening snow. The castle is closer now. You can see the walls more clearly, can make out the individual stones, large blocks of pale gray rock fitted together with a precision that speaks of patient hands and long labor, and the deep human desire to build something that will outlast the builder. The lanterns in the windows are brighter now too, their amber glow reaching out through the snowfall to meet you, to call you forward, to say, yes, here, come, you are expected, you are welcome, you are known. And with every step, the weight of the world below you grows lighter. The worries and urgencies and small anxious preoccupations that crowd the mind in ordinary life, they thin with the thinning air, they dissolve into the snow. What remains is simpler. The path, the cold, your breathing, the glow of the lantern, the warmth of the castle above, and the quiet, the extraordinary quiet of the Alborz mountains on a winter night. The quiet that holds everything, that makes room for everything, that asks nothing of you except that you move through it slowly, gently, without hurry. Which is all you are doing. Moving slowly, gently, without hurry. The final approach to the castle gate is a long level traverse across the ridge, the path running between the cliff face on one side and a sheer drop on the other, the valley invisible below in the dark and snow. But you feel no fear here. Only the calm alertness of the mountain traveler, the steady focus of one foot placed before the other, the quiet confidence of a body that knows how to walk, that has always known. The path is well maintained. Someone has cleared the worst of the snow from it, and the edges are marked with stones that guide you through the dark. Someone has cared for this path, has kept it passable through the winter storms, has thought of travelers like you, making their way up the mountain in the evening cold. This thought warms you, not as much as the cedar smoke smell drifting down from the castle, but enough. The gate appears ahead of you. Two great stone pillars rising from the ridge, and between them, barely visible in the snow and dark, the old wooden doors. And above them, two lanterns, hanging from iron hooks in the stone, their flames steady and warm, casting a circle of amber light over the entrance. A welcome. A signal. Come in. You are here. You have arrived. You slow your pace. Not because you are uncertain, but because you want to carry this moment with you for a while longer, this moment of approach, of almost arrival, when the warmth ahead is still a promise, still a thing to look forward to, still something you are moving toward with each slow, deliberate step. The snow falls between you and the gate, soft and quiet, each flake catching the lantern light for a fraction of a second before settling onto the path before you. You watch them fall, and you walk toward them, toward the light, toward the warmth, toward the ancient stone fortress that waits for you at the top of the mountain. Patient, still, welcoming. The wind moves gently across the ridge, carrying a single, cedar-scented breath from the world beyond the gate. And you breathe it in, deeply, slowly, and you let it fill you. Your step slows still further. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Each one more deliberate than the last. Each one a small ceremony of arrival. And the gate is very close now. So close that you can see the grain of the old wood, the dark iron of the hinges, the frost that has gathered on the stone of the arch above. So close that the lanterns above are no longer distant sparks but real flames, real warmth, real light. And you breathe in and out. And you take the last few steps. Crunch. Crunch. And you stand before the gate of Alamut Castle. And you look up at the old stones above you. At the snow settling softly into every crack and crevice. At the lantern flames burning steady and warm against the mountain cold. And something in you comes to rest. Something that has been moving for a very long time. Something that has been carrying things. Sets them down. Right here. At the foot of this ancient gate. In the snow. In the quiet. In the soft blue winter dark of the Alborz mountains. And you breathe. And you are still. And the snow falls. Gently. Gently. All around you. Soft and white and without hurry. And the mountain holds you. And the castle waits. And you are here. You are here. You are here. The night has deepened around you while you have been walking, and looking back down the trail you can no longer see the valley below. It has dissolved into soft darkness and drifting snow, swallowed by the gentle blue-black of the winter night. But it doesn't matter. The valley is down there somewhere, sleeping beneath its blanket of snow, and you are up here, at the gate, in the light of the lanterns, with the smell of cedar smoke and the sound of the wind and the soft continuous fall of snow all around you. The lanterns above the gate sway slightly in the wind. Their flames flicker. Not violently, not anxiously, but with a kind of lazy grace. The way a candle flame moves when someone walks slowly through the room, a peaceful disturbance, a gentle acknowledgement of your presence. Yes, they seem to say. Yes, we see you. Come in. You look at the gate again. The wood is very old, darker with age than with paint, its surface smooth in some places and rough in others, scarred by centuries of weather and use, but solid, immovably solid, the kind of thing that is made from trees that grew for 100 years before they were felled and shaped and fitted into this doorway in the rock. There is something beautiful about old wood. About the way it holds its history in its grain. The storms it has endured, the winters it has known, the hands that have touched it over the long centuries. You reach out, and you touch it. Why? Our palm flat against the cold, rough surface. And you feel it. Not just the physical sensation of wood beneath your hand, but something else. Something harder to name, the accumulated quiet of all the centuries this gate has stood, the patience of it, the absolute stillness at its core. You hold your hand there for a long moment, and the cold of the wood seeps into your palm, and the texture of it prints itself into your skin, and you are connected, for this brief moment, to something very old. And then, very softly, from somewhere beyond the gate, you hear it. The creak of a hinge. Slow, deliberate, unhurried. The gate is opening. Not dramatically, not quickly, but with the same patient certainty with which everything else in this mountain world moves, slowly, gently, in its own time. A crack of darkness appears at the center of the gate, and widens, and through it comes a new breath of warm air, richer than the cedar scent from outside, carrying with it the unmistakable warmth of a place where fires have been burning for a long time. Of stone walls that have absorbed centuries of heat. of carpets worn soft by countless peaceful hours, of tea brewing in copper pots over low flames, of books and candles and the quiet human life of a mountain fortress in winter. You breathe it in, and your whole body softens, and you step forward, into the warmth, into the light, into Alamut. The snow continues to fall behind you as you cross the threshold, soft and quiet and without hurry, as it has fallen over these mountains for 10,000 years, and will fall for 10,000 more. Patient, gentle, endlessly peaceful. You are inside now, and the mountain holds the world, and the snow falls, and you breathe in and out, and you are home. The courtyard inside the gate is filled with snow, untouched white stretching from wall to wall, a perfect blank page, a clean silence made visible. And you step into it, your boots sinking softly into the fresh white surface. And above you, the sky is still that deep luminous blue, scattered now with the first tentative stars appearing between the clouds of falling snow, brief silver sparks that come and go between the drifting white curtains above. Everything is very still, very quiet. The walls of the fortress rise around you on three sides, their ancient stones dark with cold and age, punctuated here and there by the warm orange squares of lit windows, each one a small world of warmth and light visible from the cold courtyard. And you stand in the center of all this, in the snow, under the stars, breathing the cold mountain air, warmer now, slightly, sheltered by the walls, but still cold enough to be real, to be present, to be the cold that makes the warmth ahead meaningful. You look up, and you W. As the snowflakes fall toward you from the dark blue sky above, each one a traveler on a long, slow journey from the clouds, each one landing softly on your upturned face, your eyelashes, the wool of your coat, cold and gentle, gone almost before they have arrived. You could stand here for a long time, and perhaps you do. The stars come and go between the clouds. The snow falls. The lanterns in the windows burn with steady warmth. And you stand in the courtyard of Alamut Castle, breathing, simply breathing, in the quiet, in the cold, in the beautiful particular stillness of this winter night. Chapter 2, Through the Silent Gate. The courtyard holds you gently, the way a cupped hand holds water, with care, without pressure, with only the quiet intention of keeping. You stand in the center of it, in the snow, and you let your breathing slow, and you let your shoulders drop, and you let the last tension in your jaw release, slowly, slowly, like ice thawing in warm water. The walls rise around you, ancient stone, cut and fitted by hands that have long since returned to the earth. But the walls remain, enduring, patient, indifferent to the centuries in the most comforting way. They have seen so much winter, so many snows, and they stand here still, receiving this one with the same quiet acceptance, the same open stillness. You walk deeper into the courtyard. Your footprints follow you across the white surface, a simple trail, 2 rows of boot-shaped depressions in the snow, and around them, the untouched white stretching to every wall, perfect and unmarked, as though the snow has fallen just for this, just to give you this feeling of walking across something clean and new and quietly beautiful. In the center of the courtyard there is a stone basin. Very old, its rim worn smooth and rounded by 1,000 years of hands resting on it, of snowmelt trickling over its edge, of morning light and evening shadow moving across its curved interior. In summer, this basin would hold water. Clear mountain water, fed by the cisterns carved deep into the rock of the ridge. The great underground chambers where rainwater and snowmelt were collected and stored through the long, dry months. But now the basin holds snow. A perfect smooth bowl of white, soft and deep, cold and clean. You reach out, and with 2 fingers you touch the surface of it, so gently, so lightly, that your fingers leave only the faintest impression. 2 small circles in the snow, barely visible, already beginning to fill again as new flakes drift down. The snow is very cold, and very soft. And somehow, both of these things are exactly right. You withdraw your fingers, and you look at those 2 faint circles for a moment. And then the snow fills them, and they are gone, and the basin is perfect and white again. And you smile, and you walk on. The courtyard is large, larger than it seemed from outside the gate, bounded by the long walls of the fortress on 3 sides and by a lower inner wall on the 4th, beyond which you can hear, very faintly, the sound of the wind moving across the exposed ridge above. But here in the courtyard the wind is only a whisper, a gentle suggestion of weather, held at bay by the ancient stones. There are trees here. Even now, in the depths of winter, there are trees in the courtyard of Alamut Castle. Bare-branched now, their dark limbs reaching up into the falling snow with the slightly supplicating quality of all leafless winter trees, as though they are offering something to the sky, or asking for something, though you cannot say which. But they are beautiful, in the way that bare trees in snow are always beautiful. That particular stark simplicity that winter gives to the world, stripping away everything decorative and revealing the essential structure beneath, the pure architecture of branch and trunk and root that is always there but that only winter makes visible. You stand beneath one of these trees for a moment, and you look up through its branches at the sky. The snow falls through the branches, each flake choosing its own path between the dark lines of wood, weaving and drifting, finding the gaps, and continuing its long patient journey downward. The tree holds a small accumulation of snow on each branch, balanced delicately, each small weight shifting as new snow adds to it, and occasionally, with a soft whisper, releasing, falling away in a small quiet cascade that lands on the courtyard floor with the gentlest of sounds. Like a sigh, like a breath released. You stand there for a while, just listening, just watching the snow fall through the bare branches above you, just breathing the cold mountain air. And you feel very calm, very still, very present in this one moment, in this courtyard, in this snow, under this winter sky. The lanterns in the windows around you burn with steady amber light. Through one window you can see the movement of a flame, a candle perhaps, or an oil lamp, casting its warm glow across the deep sill of an ancient stone window. Through another window you can see the faint red light of a fire. Deeper inside, somewhere in the warmth of the fortress, a fire is burning. You can feel its call from here, feel it in your chest, a gentle pull, an invitation. But you are not yet ready to go inside. There is still the courtyard to walk, still the snow to move through, still the cold, clean air to breathe for a little while longer. Because you know, that once you are inside, once the warmth wraps around you and the fire draws you close and the tea is placed in your hands, the outside world will become a memory. And you want to carry tea with you. The blue dusk in the mountain path, the tall pines dusted with white, the sound of your boots in the snow, the smell of cedar smoke growing stronger with every step upward. You want to hold all of that in your chest a little while longer before the warmth takes it. So you walk, slowly, around the perimeter of the courtyard, running your hand along the wall as you go. The stone is cold and rough beneath your fingers, irregular in texture, pitted by weather and time, every surface telling a quiet story of exposure and endurance. Here a piece of stone has split along an old fault line, opening a crack that you can fit 2 fingers into, and within that crack, in the sheltered darkness, a thin layer of ice has formed, smooth and pale, a tiny frozen world hidden in the wall. Here the stone has been patched in an ancient repair, the new stone slightly different in color from the old, still visible, still marking the spot where once there was a breach and someone came and made it whole again. Here the wall curves slightly inward, following the natural contour of the ridge below, adapting to the mountain rather than fighting it, and this seems right. This seems like wisdom in stone form, the wisdom of working with the earth rather than against it. You walk the whole perimeter, slowly, your hand trailing the wall, your feet quiet in the snow, your breath rising and falling and rising again in the cold air. And by the time you have completed the circuit and returned to the center of the courtyard, something in you has settled. Something has been satisfied. As though the act of walking the perimeter of this place, of tracing its boundaries with your body, has made it yours in some small way, has anchored you here, in this courtyard, in this snow, in this particular point in the winter night of the Alborz mountains. You are here. You are really here. The snow falls on your shoulders. The cold is in your cheeks. The mountain is beneath your feet. And the castle is all around you. And you are here. You stop in the center of the courtyard again. And you look up. The snow is falling more softly now, the individual flakes larger and more leisurely in their descent, each one drifting through its particular slice of air with a patience that seems almost deliberate. Above you, through gaps in the snow, the stars are more visible now, the clouds thinning slightly. And the stars you can see are very bright, the high-altitude brightness of mountain stars that seem closer than they should be, as though the atmosphere here is more transparent, more honest, less interested in softening the distance between the earth and the sky. You find one star, the brightest one you can see, and you look at it for a moment, just a moment. A cold blue point of light hanging in the dark above the castle. Perfectly still. Perfectly silent. A thing that has been be you. Running for longer than the mountain has existed. Older than the rock beneath your feet. And here it is, above Alamut, above the snow, above you, patient and steady as the mountain itself. You breathe. And the star burns. And the snow falls between you. And the world is very large and very quiet and very beautiful. A sound, very soft. From somewhere in the fortress above. You listen. A door, perhaps, opening and closing in some distant room. Or the wind finding an opening in the stones and passing through it with a low, soft note. or something else entirely, some sound of the mountain at night that you cannot name but recognize somehow at a level beneath words. Whatever it is part of the quiet, part of the texture of this place at this hour. And it fades, and the quiet returns, deeper than before, as quiet always is after a sound has passed through it. You stand for one more long moment in the center of the courtyard, feeling the snow settle on your shoulders, feeling the cold in your fingertips, feeling the soft weight of the mountain air. And then, very slowly, you turn toward the inner door of the fortress, toward the warmth, toward the light, toward the fire you can feel from here, calling you gently, patiently, without urgency. Come, when you are ready. Come inside. And you are ready. You walk toward the door. The snow beneath your feet deepens slightly here where the wind has drifted it against the inner wall, rising to the top of your boots, so that each step requires a little more effort, a little more presence, a little more of your attention. But this is fine. This is welcome. Every step that requires attention is a step that keeps you in your body, in this moment, in this courtyard, in this snow. And you want to stay here for just a little while longer. Even as you walk toward the door, you carry the courtyard with you. The blue dusk, the bare trees, the star above, the sound of the wind on the ridge, the smell of cedar smoke and cold air. You carry all of it. The door is set into a deep archway in the inner wall. A low arch, rounded at the top, built in the style of 100 years and more ago, when every doorway was also a statement about the importance of crossing thresholds, about the difference between outside and inside, between the world and the shelter. The door itself is smaller than the gate. Wood again, banded with iron, its surface dark and worn smooth where hands have pushed it open and pulled it closed across the centuries. A polished spot at shoulder height where 1,000 palms have rested before yours. You place your hand there, your palm against the worn wood, and you feel it. That same deep quiet you felt at the outer gate, that accumulated stillness, that patience without effort. And then you push, gently, and the door opens, on quiet hinges, into warmth, into light, into the living interior of the castle. And the warmth hits you immediately. Not overwhelmingly, not in a rush, but steadily, warmly, like stepping into the embrace of something that has been waiting. Something that has had time to prepare, to settle in, to become entirely and completely warm. It wraps around you, from your frozen fingertips to your cold cheeks, from the soles of your snow-wet boots to the top of your wool-hatted head. A warmth that speaks of thick stone walls that have stored the heat of fires burning all day, of woolen rugs layered deep on stone floors, of lanterns burning steadily in every corridor, of cedar and charcoal and the particular warm smell of a place that has been lived in and cared for across many long and quiet centuries. You step inside, and the door swings slowly closed behind you, and you hear the click of the latch, and you are inside Alamut Castle. In the warmth, in the light, and outside, behind the door, the snow continues to fall. Softly, without hurry, as it has always fallen, as it will always fall, on the ancient stones, on the bare trees in the courtyard, on the cold stone basin, on the mountain ridge, on the deep valleys below, on everything. Gently, gently. The corridor you have entered is narrow, barely wide enough for two people to pass each other comfortably, its walls of rough stone rising on either side to a vaulted ceiling of the same dark gray rock, and along one wall, at intervals of perhaps 10 steps, oil lamps hang from iron brackets driven into the stone. Their flames burn low and steady, each one a small warm ellipse of orange and gold, casting its light upward into the vault and downward onto the stone floor, making patterns of shadow and illumination that shift and pulse with the slow breathing of the flames. The floor beneath your feet is stone too, worn smoother than the walls by the passing of many feet across many years, but covered here with a long narrow carpet that runs the length of the corridor, its pattern visible in the lamplight even through its age, a repeated motif of interlocking shapes, diamonds perhaps, or flowers, or the abstract geometric patterns that Persian weavers have used for as long as there have been looms and threads and the human desire to make something beautiful from simple materials. You stand just inside the doorway and let your eyes adjust. Let the warmth settle into you. Let the sound of the place reach you. It is very quiet in the corridor. But it is a different quiet than the quiet outside. Where the outdoor quiet was wide and open, vast as the mountains themselves, this indoor quiet is close and intimate, contained by the stone walls and the low ceiling and the steady burning of the lamps. It is the quiet of depth, of enclosure, of a place that holds its silence. See in its stone. You take a step, and the carpet softens your footfall to almost nothing. Barely a whisper, barely a presence, as though you are moving through the corridor without disturbing it, as though the castle is so certain of your welcome that it does not need to acknowledge your arrival. You walk along the corridor, slowly, as you have walked all evening, your hand trailing the wall again, feeling the cold roughness of the stone where the lamps have not reached with their warmth, and then the slightly warmer stone around each lamp bracket, where centuries of heat have entered the rock and softened it in the only way that heat can soften stone. Not at its surface, but somewhere deeper, somewhere in the memory of the material. A lamp flickers as you pass, very slightly, as though acknowledging you, as though saying, "Yes, you are here, yes, we see you." You stop beside it, and you look at the flame. It is a very small flame, fed by oil in a shallow copper bowl below, drawn up through a wick of twisted cotton, burning with a steadiness that belies its size. Such a small thing. Such a patient, constant thing. It does not ask for attention. It does not need to be watched. It simply burns, hour after hour, through the long mountain night. Burning because that is its nature. Burning because that is what it is here to do. You watch it for a moment. The flame leans slightly to one side, then returns, then leans again, the slow dance of combustion in still air. And something in watching it becomes deeply restful. The regularity of it. The simplicity. The small warm circle of light it casts on the dark stone around it. You breathe with it. In as it rises. Out as it settles. In. Out. And then you walk on. The corridor turns at a right angle ahead of you, and as you round the corner you enter a slightly wider space, a small vestibule of some kind, where the ceiling rises slightly and 3 corridors branch off in different directions. And from the leftmost corridor, from somewhere deeper in the fortress, there comes a smell. Warm, herbal, faintly sweet. The unmistakable smell of tea brewing. You stop. And you breathe it in. And it is exactly the right smell for exactly this moment. The smell of warmth and care and the quiet domestic life of a place where someone has thought to put a kettle on, where someone has gathered herbs from somewhere and placed them in hot water and waited for the infusion to be ready. The smell of being expected, of being known, of arriving somewhere that has already prepared for you. You follow it. Not quickly, not eagerly, but with the calm certainty of someone who knows where they are going, who has been pointed in the right direction by something simple and true. The smell of tea on a cold mountain night. Leading you home. The corridor curves slightly. As it descends a few shallow steps, the ceiling lowering and then rising again as it passes through an older section of the fortress, where the stone is darker and the walls slightly thicker, where the building feels its age more openly. But even here the lamps burn. Even here the carpets cover the stone floors. Even here the place has been tended and cared for, kept warm and lit against the cold of the mountain night. You descend the steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. Each one slightly lower than expected, requiring just a little more care, a little more attention. And at the bottom of the steps, the corridor opens. Into a room. Into warmth and light and the smell of tea and cedar smoke and old books and beeswax candles and something else beneath all of these, something harder to name, the accumulated warmth and quiet of a room that has been loved for a very long time. You stand in the doorway. And you breathe. And you are very still. And the room receives you. Quietly. Warmly. Without fanfare. Simply and completely and exactly as you are. The fire is in a large stone fireplace on the far wall. A real fire, a log fire, the flames working their way through a good-sized piece of cedar wood that has been placed in the grate some time ago and has since settled into a deep bed of red and orange coals, the flames not dancing frantically but moving in slow, considered ways, reaching here and there among the coals, finding new fuel, maintaining their patient, comfortable combustion. The sound of it. A steady, low crackle, occasional soft pop as a pocket of air in the wood expands and releases, the gentle sigh of settling ash. These sounds are so close to silence that they are themselves a form of quiet. They fill the room the way a heartbeat fills a sleeping body. Always there, barely noticed, but deeply reassuring in their constancy. You feel it from here, the heat of it, pressing against your face and hands, melting the last traces of outdoor cold from your skin. And it is wonderful. It is simply, entirely, perfectly wonderful. You step into the room. The carpet beneath your feet is deep and thick, your boots sinking slightly into it with each step, so that the sound of your walking is completely absorbed, swallowed into the wool and silence of the room. There are cushioned seats arranged near the fire. Low seats covered in thick fabric, embroidered in the geometric patterns you are coming to associate with this place. Diamonds and stars and interlocking lines in deep reds and blues and greens, and on each seat a cushion, and over each seat a blanket folded neatly, waiting. A copper kettle sits on a low stand near the fire, steam rising from its spout in a thin, barely visible thread that climbs toward the ceiling and disperses in the warm air of the room. On the table beside it, 2 small cups of delicate porcelain, blue and white, thin as eggshell. And beside them a small plate of dried fruits and almonds, and a piece of something dark and sweet-smelling. Dates, perhaps, or dried mulberries, or the particular dark sweetness of mountain honey spread on flatbread. Whatever it is, it belongs here perfectly, it is exactly right. You sink into one of the cushioned seats, and the cushion receives you, and the blanket is within arm's reach, and the fire burns in front of you, and the tea smells of chamomile and dried rose petals and something deeper, something earthy and warm, saffron perhaps, or cardamom, or the particular blend of herbs that grow on these mountain slopes and have been used in teas like this one for longer than anyone now living can remember. You reach for the blanket, and you pull it around your shoulders. Wool, thick and soft, smelling faintly of cedar, of the chest where it has been stored. It settles around you like a second set of walls, like a second fortress. Warm, enclosing, entirely safe. You look at the fire, and the fire looks back at you, and neither of you speaks. And that is exactly right. Outside, beyond the thick stone walls of the castle, beyond the courtyard and the gate and the mountain path, the snow falls. Quietly. Endlessly. On the Alborz mountains. On the ancient stones of Alamut. On the bare trees in the courtyard. On the narrow ridge where the wind moves softly in the night. And in here, in this warm room, by this steady fire, you breathe, and the tea waits, and the blanket holds you, and the mountain holds the castle, and the snow holds the mountain, and the night holds everything. Quietly, gently, without end, you reach for the cup of tea. It is warm against your palms. Warmer than anything you have touched since the gate lantern. The heat of it travels through the thin porcelain into your fingers and up your hands and into your arms. A slow, patient warmth, not burning but deep, settling into the cold places of your body and filling them. You bring the cup to your face, and you breathe the steam before you drink. The smell rises to meet you, chamomile and rose and something darker and sweeter beneath, and the steam is warm on your lips and your nose and your cold cheeks. And you sit like this for a moment, cup cradled in both hands, steam rising to your face, fire burning before you, snow falling beyond the walls. And you are very still, and very warm, and very, very quiet. You take the first sip, and it is everything you expected it to be. Warm and gentle on your tongue, slightly sweet, slightly floral, with that deeper note beneath that anchors the sweetness and gives the tea its body, its warmth. It moves down your throat like something golden, and you feel it in your chest. A spreading warmth, patient and total, filling the space between you. You are ribs with something that feels very much like peace. You take another sip, slowly, and another, and the fire crackles softly, and the tea warms you from the inside, and the blanket warms you from the outside, and the room is quiet, and the castle is quiet, and the mountain is quiet, and the snow is falling, and you are here, safe, warm, deeply, completely, perfectly at rest. The flames in the fireplace shift and settle. The logs have burned down somewhat, the flames lower now and warmer in color, more orange than yellow, more amber than gold. The deep bed of coals beneath them glows red and steady. A slow pulse of heat, patient and reliable, the warmth of something that does not need to burn brightly to burn well. You watch it. The way the fire moves. Always moving, always changing, but always the same. Always warm. Always here. You close your eyes. And behind your eyelids the orange glow of the fire is still visible, a warm bloom of color in the dark, the fire reaching you even with your eyes closed. Even here. Even now. Even as your body grows heavier in the cushioned seat. Even as the blanket settles more deeply around your shoulders. Even as your breathing slows. And deepens. And quiets. The fire burns. And the tea is warm in your hands. And the snow falls. And the mountain holds you. And Alamut Castle holds you. And the night holds everything. Quietly. Gently. Without hurry. Without end. The corridor you entered through is silent now. The lamps in the vestibule burning low and steady. The carpet on the floor soft and still. The walls of ancient stone patient in the warmth. Everything in its place. Everything as it should be. The door to the courtyard is closed. The latch is set. The snow is outside. You are inside. And the distance between outside and inside. Between cold and warm. Between the mountain night and this firelit room. Feels like the most important distance in the world. Feels like the whole meaning of shelter. Of coming in from the cold. Of being held and kept and warmed. By stone, by wool, by fire, by tea. By the simple, ancient, human art of making a place of rest in the wilderness. Alamut Castle has been this for centuries. A place on a mountain. A place where the wind and the snow and the vast indifferent height of the Alborz range are held at bay. Not with hostility. Not with resistance. But with the gentle confidence of walls built thick and fires kept burning and kettles kept warm and blankets folded and waiting. This is what the castle says. In its silence. In its warmth. In the steady glow of its lanterns. You are expected. You are welcome. You are known. Come in. Rest. And you have come in. And you are resting. And the fire burns. And the tea cools slowly in your hands. And the snow falls outside. And the mountain holds the night. And you breathe. In. And out. And in again. Slower now. And out. Deeper. Quieter. The room holds you. Gently. Completely. Without question. Chapter 3. The Hearth of Quiet Warmth. The fire. The fire is the first thing. Before the room, before the walls, before the carpet and the cushioned seat and the blanket draped around your shoulders. Before all of this, there is the fire. And it is enough. It would be enough, a fire like this, even without the room around it, even in the open air, even on the ridge above the castle with the wind moving across the dark mountains. A fire like this would be enough. But you are not on the ridge. You are inside. In a room of ancient stone with walls thick enough to muffle the world and a ceiling low enough to hold the heat close and a floor deep in rugs and carpets that have softened and warmed this particular air for a very long time. And the fire. The fire is here too, burning with a patience that is almost contemplative. A slow, deep patience, like a meditating monk, like a mountain, like all things that have found their center and no longer need to move. The cedar log in the grate has been burning for some hours. You can tell by the way it has settled, by the particular depth and color of the coal bed beneath it, by the way the flames have become less interested in height and more interested in warmth, less show and more substance. This is the fire at its best. Past the exuberance of fresh-caught wood, past the drama of new flames. Settled into its real work. The long, slow, generous work of keeping a room warm through a mountain night. You sit before it. In the cushioned seat. Under the blanket. And you feel the warmth on your face, your hands, the fronts of your legs through the wool of your trousers. A warmth that is almost tangible, almost something you could hold, something with texture and weight. But it is not heavy. It is the opposite of heavy. It is light in the most physical sense. It lifts things from you, the residual tension of the climb, the memory of the cold on the path, the small unnamed anxieties that the mind carries without knowing it carries them. The warmth lifts all of this. Very gently. The way the sun, on a spring morning, evaporates the last traces of winter frost from a stone. Without effort. Without drama. Simply by being what it is. Present. And warm. And steady. You look around the room. It is larger than it seemed when you first entered. Or perhaps the warmth makes it feel that way. The way that a warm room always seems to have more space than a cold one. The way that comfort expands the world. The fireplace itself takes up most of one wall, a great stone structure, its opening wide enough that you could almost stand upright inside it, its mantel a single massive piece of stone carved with a simple pattern, not ornate, not elaborate, just a repeated border of geometric shapes running along its edge, the same motif you keep seeing in this place, in the carpets, in the doorways, in the latticework of the windows. It is the visual language of this fortress. A language written not in words but in shapes. In the repeating patterns that speak of order, of rhythm, of the comfort of the expected. On the mantel above the fire, two objects. A small oil lamp, its flame very low, burning more from habit than necessity in the presence of the great fire below it. And a copper bowl, polished to a warm gleam, containing something dried and fragrant, rose petals perhaps, or dried herbs, or the petals of some mountain flower that has no name in your language but has been gathered by someone here and placed in this bowl because someone decided, in some quiet moment, that a beautiful thing should live on this mantel. You look at the bowl for a long moment, at the small domestic care of it. Someone gathered those petals. Someone polished that bowl. Someone placed it exactly there. And it has been there ever since, through all the seasons and storms and quiet nights, through the long centuries of the castle's life, in some form or another, some version of this small act of care. A bowl of dried flowers on a mantel. A lamp burning low beside it. And a fire below. And someone sitting before the fire. Breathing. Just breathing. The room is filled with books. You notice this now, as your eyes move slowly around the space, as the warmth and the firelight revealed the details you missed when you first came in. The walls on two sides are lined with wooden shelves. Deep shelves, built into recesses in the stone, so that the books rest behind the plane of the wall, protected, enclosed, kept. And the books themselves. There are many of them, dozens, more perhaps, their spines ranging from the dark brown of very old leather to the rich reds and blues of newer bindings, some fat and substantial, some slim and barely more than a pamphlet, some standing upright and some lying flat in small stacks. And between the books, other things. A small glass bottle of dark liquid. A pen case of carved wood, its surface inlaid with a pattern of tiny geometric shapes in bone or ivory or some pale stone. A rolled document tied with a cord of red silk. A handful of small river stones arranged in a loose circle. A pine cone. Just a pine cone, placed there by someone who found it beautiful, or who kept it as a memory of something, or who simply picked it up one winter day and set it on the shelf because it seemed like the right place for it. And that's all the reason that matters. Because it seemed like the right place for it. You breathe in. And the smell of the room is complex and layered and deeply pleasing. Cedar smoke from the fire, warm and rich and slightly sweet. Old leather from the books on the shelves. The dried herbs or flowers from the bowl on the mantel. Beeswax from the candles burning on the reading table in the corner. And beneath all of these, something else, something almost not there but not quite. The mineral smell of the stone walls. The ancient dust of the mountain rock. The clean cold that comes through the walls even in all this warmth. A reminder that outside, just outside, the mountain night continues. The snow falls. The wind moves across the ridge. And the Alborz mountains stand in all their enormous, indifferent, magnificent patience. But in here the stone holds its warmth. And the fire burns. And the tea is in your hands. And you are safe. The copper kettle. You can still hear it from here. Or you can almost hear it. The very faint sound of water at the edge of boiling, a low, barely audible song from the little stand near the fire, the kettle rocking almost imperceptibly on its base as the water moves within it. The tea in your cup has been poured from it, steeped with care. You take another sip. And the chamomile and rose settle onto your tongue, and the warmth of it moves through you like something golden. Like light through amber. Like the last sunlight through a yellow autumn leaf. Warm and golden and gentle and perfect. The second sip is different from the first. The first sip always carries the surprise of heat and flavor. The slight shock of the contact between the cold of the teeth and the warmth of the liquid, the novelty of the taste no matter how many times you have tasted it. But the second sip is recognition, is the settling in, is the beginning of the familiar. And the third sip is deeper still. And by the fourth, you are simply inside the tea. Inside its warmth and its gentleness. The way you are inside this room. The way you are inside this mountain night. Simply here. Simply present. Simply warm. Outside the windows. The snow. The windows of this room are set deep into the stone wall to your right. 3 of them, narrow and tall. Their openings crossed with simple iron grills through which the cold air enters very slightly, very gently, the thinnest thread of winter coming through to keep the room from becoming too warm, too closed, too entirely cut off from the world outside. Through the glass, or through the spaces beside the glass where it does not quite meet the stone, you can see the snow. Or rather, you can see the dark sky against which the snow falls. And you can see the snow moving against the dark. White on black, pale on deep blue, each flack. Visible for a fraction of a second as it passes through the narrow slice of sky visible through the window. And then gone. Replaced by the next. And the next. An endless procession of small white travelers. All moving in the same direction. All arriving at the same destination. The earth. The snow-covered earth. The stones of the courtyard outside. The roof of the castle above you. The mountain beyond the walls. You watch the snow through the window for a while. From the warmth. From the fire. From the blanket and the cushioned seat and the cup of tea cooling slowly in your hands. You watch the snow fall outside. And it is one of the most beautiful things you have ever seen. Not because it is dramatic. Not because it is unusual. But because of the contrast. The essential human contrast that gives warmth its meaning. The cold outside. And the warmth in here. The falling snow. And the steady fire. The open night. And the sheltering walls. These things need each other. Warmth has no meaning without cold. Shelter has no meaning without exposure. The fire on the hearth is most beautiful when the snow falls outside. And you are here. In exactly the right place. For exactly this. The fire shifts. The cedar log rolls slightly in the grate, settling deeper into the coal bed below it, and the fire responds, brightening for a moment, the flames reaching higher, a brief exuberance, a small celebration of new fuel. Then settling back, deeper and warmer than before. The light in the room pulses once with the brightening. A wash of amber across the walls, across the books on their shelves, across the candles on the table, across the bowl of dried flowers on the mantel. And then it settles into the deep, warm, steady glow that is the proper light of a room like this on a night like this. Golden, amber, old, the kind of light that has always made human beings feel safe. The light of fire, first learned in caves before memory, before language, before all the elaborate constructions of civilization. The first warmth. The first shelter. The first homecoming. Your body knows this light in its oldest places. Knows it the way it knows the smell of earth after rain. The way it knows the sound of water moving. The way it knows the weight of a warm blanket settling onto tired shoulders. This is known. This is old. This is safe. You set the empty cup down. It makes a tiny sound against the ceramic saucer. A delicate click. And then silence. The blanket is around your shoulders. The fire burns. The snow falls. And you are very tired. Not the tired of depletion. Not the exhausted tired that comes from too much, too fast, too loud, for too long. But a different tired. A good tired. The tired that comes from a long walk in cold air. From the effort of climbing a mountain path in the dark and the snow. From the physical, present, complete experience of a body that has worked and now is resting. This is the tired that sleep is made for. The tired that the body makes because it needs rest and knows how to get it. And the rest is here. In the warmth. In the firelight. In the stillness of this room. In the soft weight of the blanket. In the deepening quiet of the castle around you. The books on the shelves. You find yourself looking at them again. All those spines, all those years of thought and observation and care and craft pressed between covers and set on shelves in this mountain fortress. What do they contain? You could reach out and take one. You could open it and read. But not now. Not tonight. Tonight is for looking, for breathing, for letting the room and its warmth and its quiet settle over you like another blanket. There will be time for reading. There is always time for reading. But this particular hour, this particular moment, by this particular fire, with this particular snow falling on the other side of these particular windows. This hour is for resting. Only for resting. You let your eyes rest on the spines of the books. Without reading, without thinking, just letting the shapes of the letters and the colors of the leather, and the textures of the bindings fill your vision softly, like a gentle landscape. Like a horizon. Like something to look at without needing to understand. Just the presence of them. The companionable quiet presence of books in a room. All that accumulated human thought and feeling and observation, resting. Resting on their shelves. Like you. Resting in your seat. Both of you quiet for the night. Both of you warm. Both of you patient for the morning. A candle on the reading table flickers. Very slightly. As though something has passed through the room. Some breath of air, too subtle to feel on your skin but enough to make the flame lean and straighten and lean again in its slow, graceful way. You watch it. Lean, straighten, lean, straighten. A rhythm slow enough to follow with your eyes. Slow enough to breathe with. In as it leans. Out as it straightens. In. Out. In. Out. The flame burns on. Steady in its unsteadiness. Constant in its small variations. Beautiful in its absolute simplicity. Wax and wick and flame and light. Nothing more. Everything necessary. Your eyes are heavy. You notice this without surprise. Without resistance. As though the heaviness of your eyes is simply part of the warmth, part of the fire and the blanket and the tea and the snow, part of everything this room is offering you. Rest. Just rest. Your eyelids descend slowly. And the room, as they close, becomes a warm blur of amber light and shadow. The fire a soft glow at the center of your vision. The books a dark warmth on the walls. The snow a pale movement beyond the windows. All of it softening. All of it warming. All of it settling. Into the particular texture of almost sleep. That threshold place. That beautiful border country between waking and sleeping. Where the mind still moves but slowly. Where thoughts arrive and drift away before they complete themselves. Where the body has already let go. Has already surrendered its weight to the cushion and the blanket. Has already given itself over to rest. You are here. In this threshold place. In the warmth. By the fire. In the castle on the mountain. In the snow. And the fire burns. And the tea is warm and gone. and the blanket holds you, and the snow falls, and the mountain holds the castle, and the castle holds you, and the night holds everything. Quietly, gently, without end. The cedar log breathes out one final breath of smoke. A curl of blue-gray that rises toward the chimney and disappears, and then settles deeper into its coals. Its long burning almost complete, but the heat it has given to the room remains. In the walls, in the air, in the stone of the floor beneath the carpets. All that warmth, all that patient, steady warmth, held in the ancient materials of this ancient place. Holding you, you breathe. In the fire, out the snow. In the warmth, out the quiet. And you are still, and you are warm, and you are here, in the hearth room of Alamut Castle, on a winter night, while the snow falls on the Alborz mountains, and everything is exactly as it should be. The hours of the night move quietly around you. They do not announce themselves. They simply pass, one into the next, each one a little deeper and a little quieter than the last. The fire burns lower and lower, its light becoming more intimate, more internal, the deep red and orange of coals rather than the brighter gold of flames. The room grows slightly dimmer, and in the dimness it becomes more private, more enclosed, more entirely yours for this hour. The candle on the reading table has burned down somewhat, its flame now resting in a pool of melted wax, very small, very steady, a point of light in the warm dark of the room. Through the windows the snow continues, endlessly patient, endlessly gentle. The darkness outside is deep now, the true dark of a mountain night long past midnight, when the last clouds have closed off the stars and the world has settled into a kind of absolute quietness that you can feel through the walls. A listening quiet, an attentive quiet, the quiet of a world that has put itself to sleep. And in this quiet, in this warmth, in this firelit dimness, you rest. Completely. Without reservation. Without holding anything back. The body knows how to do this. It has always known. Long before words, before thought, before all the complex machinery of the waking mind. The body has known how to rest. How to let go. How to surrender to sleep the way water surrenders to a lower place. Not with effort, but with the simple physics of its nature. Following the path of least resistance. Downward. Into warmth. Into quiet. Into the beautiful, total darkness of deep rest. The fire. The snow. The quiet. You breathe. And the mountain holds the night. And Alamut holds you. And you are home. Chapter 4. Lanterns above the snow. In the deep hours of the mountain night, you move. Not quickly. Not with purpose or destination. But slowly, gently, the way a dreamer moves through their own dreaming. Following the light. Following the warmth. Following the quiet pull of one corridor into the next, one room into another, the way a river follows its own nature downhill. You carry your lantern. The same lantern from the mountain path, its amber flame still burning steady within the glass, still casting that small warm circle of light ahead of you as you walk. But it is smaller now. Less necessary. Because the castle is full of light. The oil lamps in their iron brackets along every corridor, the candles in their holders on windowsills and shelves, the low glow from under doorways where fires burn in rooms beyond. Everywhere light. Soft, warm, amber light. Alamut Castle in its sleeping hours is not dark. It is luminous. A gentle luminescence that fills the corridors and stairwells and open courtyards, that catches the faces of the cut stones and the texture of the carpets, and the gleam of copper fittings on doors and lamp brackets. Everything lit from below and within. Everything warm. You walk. The stone floor cool beneath your boots, though you feel the cold less than before, the warmth of the hearth room still with you, still in your shoulders and your chest and the palms of your hands. The corridor here is wider than the one you entered by. Wide enough to walk with your arms slightly extended and your fingertips almost touching the walls on either side. Almost. But not quite. A comfortable width. An intimate width. Wide enough to feel spacious and narrow enough to feel enclosed, to feel the walls beside you as a presence, as a gentle company. The stone walls. You trail your fingers along the right-hand wall as you walk. As you have done all evening. Though needing to stay connected to this particular stone of this particular mountain in this particular dark. And the stone receives your fingers. Cold and patient and absolutely steady. It will be here long after the lanterns have burned down. Long after the fire in the hearth has returned to ash. Long after this particular night has become a memory. The stone will be here. And there is something deeply restful in this thought. Something deeply restful in the permanence of stone. In the way it holds its shape through every weather. In the way it keeps faith with its own nature across the centuries. A staircase. You find it at the end of the corridor. Not wide, not grand, a narrow staircase cut into the thickness of the castle wall, its steps worn concave in the center by the passage of many feet, each step slightly different, some higher, some lower, some deep, some shallow. They require you to look at them, to pay attention, to meet each one on its own terms rather than assuming they will all be the same. This is the staircase teaching you to be present. One step at a time. One breath at a time. One small act of attention at a time. You begin to climb. Your lantern held before you. Your free hand on the wall. Step, breathe. Step, breathe. Step, breathe. The staircase curves as it rises, following the curve of the tower it is built within, so that you cannot see more than a few steps ahead at any time, each step revealing the next only as you reach it. A mystery in miniature. The smallest possible kind of adventure. What is around the curve? More stone. More steps. More lamplight. And that is enough. That is more than enough. The staircase opens onto a landing. And the landing opens, through a narrow arched doorway, onto a walkway. And the walkway opens onto everything. You step through the archway. And the cold hits you. Not harshly, but firmly, a reminder, a clarification, the mountain knights saying, "Yes, I am still here." You are on the top of one of the castle's watchtowers. A small platform of stone, protected on three sides by a low wall, open to the sky above. And the sky. After the close warmth of the corridors below, the enclosed amber world of the castle's interior, the sky above the watchtower feels impossibly large. Impossibly deep. A vast dark bowl inverted over the mountains, and in it, through the gaps between the clouds of falling snow, the stars. More stars than you have seen in a long time. The high-altitude stars of the Alborz range, burning with that particular cold intensity that belongs to winter skies above the clouds, each one a point of such precise, such exact light that it seems closer to sharp than soft, though the snow drifting between you and them softens them somewhat, wraps each pinprick of light in the finest gauze of falling white. You stand on the walkway, and you look up, and the stars look back, and the snow falls between you and them. Softly, without hurry, each flake catching a brief moment of starlight before landing softly on your upturned face. On the stone of the walkway, on the ancient parapet wall beside you, the mountains. From up here, from this height, from the top of this tower, the mountains are visible in all directions. Or rather, the absence of them is visible. The places where the ridgelines cut the sky, where the dark masses of rock and snow rise above the valleys, where the shapes of summits appear and disappear through the drifting snowfall. The Alborz Mountains in winter. A landscape so ancient it makes the castle feel young. A landscape that has been here since before the first human walked these valleys, since before the first shepherd climbed these slopes with a flock of sheep in the warm months, since before anyone looked up at these peaks and thought, there is something here worth climbing toward. These mountains do not care about kingdoms or centuries. They do not notice the changing of rulers or the rise and fall of dynasties. They simply stand, as they have always stood, in exactly this shape, in exactly this silence, receiving the snow with exactly this patience. And you stand among them now, small, and warm, and breathing, and present. And the smallness is not diminishment. It is relief. There is something deeply restful about being small in the presence of the enormous. About being a brief warm flicker in the midst of the long cold permanence of mountains. About being exactly what you are, no more and no less, and having that be perfectly sufficient. You lean against the parapet wall. It's stone cold against your forearms. But you don't mind the cold now. Not here. Not with the warmth of the castle at your back, with the knowledge of the fire, and the tea and the blanket waiting below. The cold here is simply contrast. Simply the mountain's way of making the warmth more meaningful. And you receive it. You breathe it. The sharp, clean cold of the mountain night, carrying with it the smell of snow and rock and pine from the forests far below, and the faint cedar smoke from the castle chimneys, and beneath all of these the smell of altitude itself, of air thin enough to taste, clean enough to make the inside of your nose tingle with each breath. You breathe it in, deeply, letting it fill your lungs completely. Feeling the cold of it reach the very bottom of your breath. And then you breathe it out. And your breath rises in a white cloud in the dark. A brief warm shape in the cold air. There and then gone. Like a thought. Like a feeling. Like everything that passes through and does not stay. A sound. From below. From the valley somewhere in the dark beyond. the walls. An owl. A single long note, rising slightly at the end, then releasing into the silence. Perfectly clear in the cold night air. A sound that has been heard on these mountains since before the castle was built. Since before there was anyone here to hear it. The owl does not know about the castle. The owl does not know about you. The owl is simply being an owl, at the top of its long winter night, calling to the mountains and the dark. And the mountains receive the sound. And the dark receives it. And the snow catches it and softens it as it rises. And then it dissolves. And the silence returns. Deeper than before. As silence always is after sound has passed through it. You hold your breath for a moment. As though breathing might disturb it. And then you let it go. And you breathe. And the owl is silent now. Somewhere in the dark. Listening. As you are listening. Both of you quiet in the mountain night. Both of you still. Both of you held by the same mountains. The same stars. The same falling snow. The lanterns below. From up here you can see them. The lanterns in the courtyard of the castle. Tiny warm sparks in the dark below, each one a small promise of warmth, of shelter, of the human life happening in the rooms below your feet. And beyond the walls of the castle, down the mountain slope, in the far distance. A single light. Just one. In the dark valley far below. So small it might be a star that has fallen very low. But it is not a star. It is a lantern, or a fire, in some farmhouse far below, in the valley you passed over on your way up the mountain path. Someone is awake down there. Or a fire is burning in an empty room. Or a lantern was left lit by someone who has now gone to sleep. Whatever the reason. That single small light in the dark valley below. It makes the world feel less empty. More inhabited. More alive with the quiet business of human existence going on in all its countless small and private ways. Somewhere in that dark valley. Someone else is warm. Someone else is breathing. Someone else is near a fire, or beneath a blanket, or drifting toward sleep. And this thought, this simple, quiet thought, settles into your chest like something warm. You are not alone up here. Not in the way that matters. The mountains are here. The snow is here. The owl is here. The castle is here. And far below, that one small light. Burning in the dark valley. Company at a distance. Warmth across the cold. You stand on the walkway for a long while. Not thinking. Not planning. Just being here. Just receiving what this place and this hour are offering. The cold air. The vast sky. The drifting snow. The distant mountains. The owl's silence. The single light in the valley. The stars coming and going through clouds above. All of it. Simply. Without interpretation. Without needing to make it mean anything beyond what it is. Cold air. High places. Night. Snow. Stars. Silence. This is enough. This is more than enough. This is everything. Eventually, your body tells you it is time to go back inside. Not with urgency. Not with discomfort. Just a quiet turning, a gentle shifting of attention. toward warmth, toward the enclosed amber world below, toward the fire and the blanket and the deep cushioned seat. You take one long last breath of mountain air, feeling it reach the bottom of your lungs, feeling it cool and clean in your chest. And then you let it go, and you turn, and you walk back through the narrow archway, and the warmth of the castle reaches out for you before you have even descended the first step. A welcoming arm, a familiar embrace, and you descend, step by step, one at a time, your lantern before you, your hand on the wall, down through the curving staircase, back into the corridors below, back into the amber world of oil lamps and warm stone, back home. The corridor at the bottom of the staircase turns left, and you follow it, past the closed door from behind which no sound comes, just the faint warmth of a room where a fire has burned and banked itself for the night. Past a window seat recessed into the wall, its cushions faded and soft, a book lying open on the seat as though its reader stepped away for a moment and will return shortly. But surely the reader is long asleep, the book left open at the page they reached before their eyes grew heavy and closed. You pause beside the window seat, and you look at the open book. The writing is very fine, a careful hand, each letter formed with attention, with the particular deliberateness of someone for whom writing is both craft and devotion. Persian script. The letters flowing right to left across the page, curving and connecting in ways that look less like letters and more like a landscape, hills and valleys and the occasional vertical stroke rising like a tree from the plane of the page. You cannot read it, but you look at it, and you feel the care in it, the patience of someone who wrote slowly, who thought about each mark before making it, who understood that the making of letters is itself a form of meditation, a form of prayer, a form of attention given to the world through the smallest and most deliberate of physical acts. The act of the pen on the page, the loop of a letter, the pause before the next. This is a form of quiet you recognize, even if you cannot read the words. You recognize the quality of attention that made them. And you walk on. The corridor here opens onto a small indoor balcony. An unexpected space. A projection of floor and railing overlooking a larger room below. A room you cannot see directly into but which you can feel its warmth rising, can smell its smoke and cedar, can sense, through the stone beneath your feet and the warm air against your face, the presence of a large fire and a large hearth below. You stand at the railing of the balcony, and you look down, and the room below is in deep shadow except for the orange glow of the fire in the far wall, and a single candle on a table near the door. And the room is empty, or seems empty. But it doesn't feel empty. It feels full of warmth and quiet, full of the accumulated presence of all the evenings it has held, all the people who have sat by that fire, all the conversations and silences that have passed through that room and left their trace in the warmth of the walls. A room can hold its history the way the stone holds its heat. Not visibly, not obviously, but real, warmly real. You stand at the balcony railing, and you look down into the warm dark of that room, and you feel it, all that quiet history, all that patient warmth, and you breathe, and the room breathes back, and the fire in the hearth below pulses slowly, orange and red and deep, and the single candle burns. And somewhere in the castle above and around and below you, the snow. You can feel it. Even from here. Even indoors. The presence of the snow on the other side of the walls. Its weight on the roof above. Its quiet fall in the courtyards beyond the windows. Soft. Endless. Patient. You walk on. Through another corridor. Past another lamp. Past the doorway to a room where someone has left a pair of boots by the threshold. Old boots, worn at the heels, comfortable with use, waiting for their owner to come back to them. Past a small niche in the wall where a vase holds a branch of dried flowers, white and delicate, long past their season but still beautiful, still holding their shape. Past the window that looks out onto the inner courtyard. You pause here. And you look out. The courtyard is unchanged. Still and white. The bare trees standing in their unchanged way. The stone basin still holding its bowl of snow. And the snow still falling from the dark sky above. Each flake visible in the amber light from the castle windows. Falling and falling. Without end. Without hurry. Without anything required of it except to fall. You watch it for a long moment. Through the cold glass of the window. The falling snow. The empty courtyard. The dark branches of the bare trees reaching up into the falling white. And you feel very peaceful. A peace that goes beyond the moment. Beyond the room. Beyond the castle. A peace that seems to come from somewhere much older than thought. Much quieter than the mind. From somewhere deep in the body. Where the ancient knowing lives. The knowing that says, you are safe. You are held. You are known. You can rest. You turn from the window. And you walk. Back toward the warmth. Back toward the fire. Back toward the deep cushioned seat and the blanket and the sound of the flames and the stone hearth. The corridor curves. The lamps burn. The castle breathes. And you walk through it. Slowly. Quietly. As though you have been walking through this place for a long time. As though you know it by heart. As though these corridors and stairwells and lantern-lit halls are as familiar to you as anything you have ever known. Which is strange. Because you have only just arrived. And yet, there is a quality of recognition in this place. The quality that certain places always carry. The places that feel known before they are known. The places that feel like somewhere you have always been going. Alamut Castle. High in the Alborz mountains. In the winter. In the snow. In the deep and patient quiet of the mountain night. This is one of those places. And you have arrived. And you are walking through it. And the lanterns burn. And the snow falls. And the mountain holds everything. Quietly. Gently. Without end. The fire is still burning in the hearth room. You can see its light before you reach the door. Amber and warm in the corridor ahead. A beckoning. A homecoming. You step through the doorway. Into the warmth. Into the firelight. And the room receives you. Without fuss. Without ceremony. Simply. Completely. The blanket is still where you left it. The cushioned seat is still exactly there. The fire is lower, but still burning. The candles on the table have burned down, but still glow. Everything is as you left it. And everything is ready for you. You settle back into the seat. You pull the blanket around your shoulders. You look at the fire. The fire looks back. And the night is deep around you. And the snow falls. And the mountain breathes. And you breathe with it. In, out, in, out. And the lanterns burn above the snow. Warm and amber and endless. Each one a small sun. Each one a small home. Each one a quiet light held up against the dark. Just for you. Chapter 5. The Library of Winter Silence. There is a room in this castle. You did not know about it until now. Until this moment. When the corridor turned in an unexpected direction and the door appeared before you, tall and narrow and slightly ajar, warm amber light spilling through the gap. And through the gap, the smell. Old paper. Leather and old paper and cedar and candle wax and the faintest trace of dried rose petals. And something deeper. Something you can only see. The smell of thought. The smell of all the hours that have been spent in this room in quiet attention. The smell of minds working slowly and carefully on things worth caring about. The smell of a library. You push the door open. Gently. And you step inside. The room is not large. This is the first thing you notice. Not large at all. Smaller than the hearth room. Lower ceilinged. More enclosed. More intimate. A room that seems to have been built to the scale of a single person and a single candle, rather than to any grander purpose. But every wall, every available surface, is shelves. Deep shelves of dark wood, fitted into the stone with care, their joints precise and their finish smooth, the work of someone who understood that books deserve good shelving the way music deserves good acoustics, the way bread deserves a good oven. And the shelves are full. Not overflowing, not disorderly, but full in the way a library should be full, with room to breathe, with each book in its proper place, with the slight variations in height and spine width and color that make a collection feel lived with rather than merely acquired. You stand in the doorway and look. Just look. For a long moment. At all those books. All those manuscripts. Some are volumes bound in leather, dark red or deep brown or faded black, their spines marked with letters and languages you may or may not know, their edges gilded perhaps once, now worn to the underlying material below. Some are scrolls, rolled tight and stored in wooden tubes, standing upright in a rack built for exactly this purpose. Some are loose-leafed manuscripts, held together with linen cords, their pages the color of old honey, their content invisible from here but implied, pressing out through the binding with the gentle pressure of everything they contain. And between the books, as in the other room, objects. An astrolabe of brass, its rings and arcs and pointers all carefully worked, its surface engraved with the tiny, perfect markings of calculation and observation. A pair of reading glasses with small round lenses set in a thin wire frame. A magnifying glass. Several inkpots, some empty, some still dark with the residue of ink used long ago. Pens cut from reed, their tips still sharp, their bodies polished by the hands that have held them. A small brass scale for measuring. A box of what appear to be dried seeds or herbs, its lid slightly ajar, letting out the faintest smell of something dark and earthy and ancient. You enter the room. Your feet make no sound on the deep carpet that covers the floor here. A carpet unlike any you have seen in the rest of the castle. Smaller, more worn, its colors faded to a uniformity that suggests great age, but its pattern still visible beneath the age, a pattern of intertwined vines and geometric stars, repeating endlessly across its surface. You walk to the center of the room, and you stop, and you turn slowly, taking it all in. The books, the objects, the candlelight, the low ceiling above you, the narrow window on the far wall through which the snow falls quietly beyond the glass. The smell, old paper and cedar and thought and time. And you feel something, difficult to name, something in the region of reverence. Not the reverence of religiosity, not awe in the dramatic sense, but something quieter and more personal. The feeling that you are standing in a place where something that matters has happened, where minds have worked and eyes have moved across pages and thoughts have formed and dissolved and reformed in the candlelight, where the accumulation of all that quiet attention has entered the walls and the air and the objects on the shelves, where the room itself has become, over the centuries, a container of something worth containing. You breathe it in. There is a reading chair by the window. A simple chair, wood and cushion, angled toward the narrow rectangle of glass through which the night and the snow are visible. On the arm of the chair, a book. Open, face down. Left by someone who went to get their tea and has not yet returned. Or by someone who set it down just before sleep took them. You walk to the chair, and you look at the open pages. Persian script, of course. Written in a hand that is slightly different from the hand you saw in the corridor, this one looser, more expressive, the letters leaning slightly to the right as though hurrying towards something just off the edge of the page. But not hurrying anxiously. Hurrying with joy. With the particular forward lean of a mind that is interested, that has found something in these pages that is pulling it forward. You sit in the chair, and the cushion receives you, and you look at the open pages, and you breathe the smell of the old paper. And outside the narrow window the snow falls against the dark. The candles in this room burn differently from the candles elsewhere in the castle. There are more of them, and they are placed with thought, not randomly but in a pattern that illuminates the shelves and the chair and the reading table on the other side of the room with something close to even distribution of warm light. Someone designed this room for reading, thought carefully about where the light would fall, about the height of the shelves and the angle of the chair, about the window placed not above or behind the reader's position but to the side, so that the cold from the glass would not fall directly on the face, but the sense of the outside, the awareness of the world beyond the room, would still be present. This thoughtfulness, this care, it speaks of someone who loved books enough to build a room worthy of them. And that thought alone makes this room feel warmer, more personal, more human. You run your fingers along the edge of the nearest shelf. The wood is smooth and cool under your fingertips. And along the edge of it, very faintly, almost invisibly, scratched into the surface by something sharp and fine. A row of small marks. Not words, not letters, just marks. A series of vertical lines, grouped in fours with a diagonal fifth crossing each group. Someone counting something. The days perhaps. The winters. The times they sat in this chair and read by these candles while the snow fell outside. However many marks it was that they counted. They sat here. Exactly here. In this chair. By this window. Reading by these candles. In the winter. In the snow. And now you sit here. And the marks are still on the shelf. And the candles still burn. And outside, the snow still falls. You open the book in your lap. Not to read. Not really. But to feel the pages. To feel the texture of the paper under your fingers, which is different from modern paper, softer in some ways, rougher in others, with a warmth that has nothing to do with temperature. The warmth of age. Of something made by hand from materials gathered with care. The paper is the color of warm sand, or of dried cream, or of old ivory. And on its surface, the writing, line after line of Persian script, flowing right to left across each page. Each line a river of letters connected and curving. Each page a landscape of meaning. You cannot read it, but you look at it, and you appreciate it. The care of the script, the evenness of the line spacing, the occasional mark in the margin where a reader once paused and made a note. A tiny notation, a question perhaps, or an agreement, a small handwritten conversation with the text. These marginal notes fascinate you. They are the traces of real people. Real readers who sat with this book at some specific moment in history and found something in it that mattered to them. Mattered enough to mark. Enough to preserve in ink on the margin of a page. And here is that moment, preserved. Still here. A small, human forever. The snow. It taps against the window. Very gently. Not knocking, not demanding attention. Just acknowledging its presence. Just letting you know it is there. Outside the glass. In the dark. Falling. Always falling. With the absolute patience that is the nature of snow. You look up from the book. And you look through the window. At the snow. At the night. At the occasional visible outline of the mountains in the dark. Their ridgelines barely distinguishable from the clouds above. But there. You know they are there. The Alborz mountains, patient and enormous. Holding the castle on their ridge. Holding you within the castle. You within the library. Layer upon layer of holding. Like nesting boxes. Like hands cupped within hands. Mountain holding castle. Castle holding library. Library holding reader. Reader holding breath. Breath holding quiet. You close the book. And you set it back on the arm of the chair. Face down. As you found it. The reader will return for it. Or not. But it will be here. Patient on the arm of the chair. Keeping its place. Holding its secrets. Ready for whenever it is opened again. You stand. And you move to the shelves. And you walk slowly along them. Not looking for anything specific. Just looking. Just letting your eyes move across the spines of the books, the shapes of the objects between them, the textures and colors and the extraordinary accumulated weight of all this quiet knowledge. A book of astronomy. You can tell it by the drawing on the cover, a constellation mapped with careful precision onto a circle of parchment. A book of medicine. Its pages filled with diagrams and annotations, the drawings of plants and their roots, the careful documentation of what grows in the mountains and what can be made from it. A book of geometry. Its pages covered in the clean precision of angles and proofs, the beautiful inevitability of mathematical demonstration. A book that appears to be poetry, or perhaps prayer. The lines short and carefully arranged on the page, each one a unit of thought, a breath of meaning. And a book so old you cannot guess at its age. Its cover dark and slightly warped with the humidity of many mountain winters, its pages sealed together at the edges by time itself. What does it contain? What did someone think was important enough to write down, to bind, to carry up this mountain, to place on this shelf in this room? You will never know. And that is all right. Not every door needs to be opened. Not every question needs an answer. Some things are more beautiful for being unknown, more valuable for their mystery. Like the marks on the shelf, like the note in the margin, like the reader who left the book face down and went to get their tea. The mystery is part of the warmth of this place, part of what makes it alive. You find a seat on a low bench near the reading table, and you sit, and the room closes around you gently. The candlelight, the shelves, the smell of old paper, the sound of the snow against the window, the warmth of the room, and you breathe, very slowly, in, out, in, out. The candles breathe with you, their flames rising slightly with each in-breath, settling with each out-breath, as though the room is breathing, as though the library itself is a living thing, dreaming in its own way, moving through its own slow rhythms of warmth and light and the passage of winter hours. You think about the hands, all hands that have handled these objects, that have turned these pages, that have trimmed these wicks and filled these inkpots and sharpened these reed pens, that have scratched those marks on the shelf, that have written that note in the margin, that have placed that astrolabe just so on that shelf. All those hands, all those people, all those evenings spent in this room by this light, reading, thinking, writing, while the snow fell outside and the mountains stood in the dark and the castle breathed its slow stone breath around them. The library holds all of this, without effort, without noise, simply by existing, by being what it has always been. A room where someone tried to keep what was worth keeping, to preserve what was worth preserving, to hold what was worth holding. Sometime in the deep hours of the night, a candle goes out. Not dramatically, not with a flare or a gust of wind. Simply, the wick reaching the end of the wax. The flame hesitating once, and then, quietly, letting go. And the room is slightly dimmer, and slightly more intimate, and the remaining candles seem warmer for it, as though they have gathered the light of the extinguished one into themselves, as though they are burning a little brighter in its memory. You watch the small thread of smoke rise from the dark wick, curling up toward the ceiling, carrying the last warmth of the candle upward, and then dispersing, and then gone, and the smoke is gone, and the candle is just a stub of wax now, and everything is a little dimmer, and a little quieter, and a little more exactly right for this particular hour. The books on the shelves seem closer now, in the dimmed light, their spines dark against the wood of the shelves, their presence more felt than seen. All that accumulated thought, all that preserved wisdom, all that human effort at understanding, gathered in this room, on a mountain, in the winter, in the snow, in the deep and patient night. And you are here among them, breathing, simply breathing, with no more thought than the candle had, with no more effort than the snow. Just here, just present, just warm. There is a word in Persian. Sakt. No, not that one. Aram. Quiet, peaceful, gentle, calm. And is what this room is. What this moment is. What you are. Aram. The word itself is soft when you hear it. A sound that embodies what it means. Gentle at the beginning, quiet in the middle, settling at the end. Quiet, gentle, at peace. You breathe. In, out, in, out. The library holds you. The castle holds the library. The mountain holds the castle. The snow holds the mountain. The night holds the very thing. Quietly, gently, without end. You sit in the library for a long time. Not reading, not thinking, just sitting, just being present in this particular room, in this particular light, at this particular hour, while the snow falls outside and the candles burn low and the books breathe softly on their shelves. You sit, and you breathe, and the room breathes, and the night breathes, and the mountain breathes. One great slow breath that encompasses all of this. The library and the library's books and the reader in the chair and the snow on the window and the mountains in the dark and the castle on the ridge and the lanterns in the courtyard and the fire in the hearth and the tea in the copper kettle and the blanket folded on the cushioned seat. All of it. One breath. In, out. And you are part of it. You have always been part of it. This long, slow breath of the mountain. This patient, winter snowfall breath. This breath that has been breathing since before the castle was built. Since before the first scholar climbed this mountain with a book under his arm and a reed pen in his pocket. Since before anyone thought to make a room like this, where things worth keeping could be kept. This breath. This long, slow mountain breath. It breathes you too. It has always breathed you. And you breathe with it now. In, the snow. Out, the quiet. In, the warmth. Out, the dark. In, the books. Out, the candles. In, the mountain. Out. The library is very quiet now. The quietest it has been all evening. Or perhaps you are simply more ready for the quiet. More open to it. More fully here. More completely present in this room and this moment and this breathing. The last candle on the table is burning very low. Its flame a small ember bead at the top of a short wick. Barely there. But burning. Still burning. With the absolute faithfulness of fire to its own nature. It burns because that is what it does. It burns because there is still wax to burn. It burns because the night is not yet over. And it will keep burning until it is done. And then, quietly, it will let go. Just as the other one did. Just as all flames eventually do. Without drama. Without complaint. Simply. Completely. Done. But it is not done yet. It burns. Gently. And the room is warm. And the books are here. And the snow falls outside. And the mountain is patient. And you breathe. Slowly. Deeply. Quietly. In. Out. In. Out. The library of winter silence holds you. Keeps you. Knows you. And you. You are here. Entirely here. In the warmth. In the quiet. In the breathing dark. Of the library. On the mountain. In the winter. In the snow. Chapter 6. Dawn above the Alborz mountains. Something changes. Not suddenly. Not with the drama of a door opening or a light being lit. But gradually. So gradually that you cannot say when it begins. Only that at some point you notice it. A change in the quality of the dark. A subtle shift. A warming of the black towards something else. Something that is not quite gray. Not quite blue. Not quite any color you have a name for. But different from the darkness it follows. Different in a way that is unmistakable. Different in a way that every living thing knows. Even before it can be seen with certainty. Even before the eyes can resolve it into anything definite. The darkness knows it is ending. The night knows it is releasing. The mountains know. The snow knows. And somewhere, deep in the body, in the oldest part of the body, the part that was calibrated to the rhythms of the earth long before thought existed, you know. Dawn. Dawn is coming. You are in the hearth room. Back in the cushioned seat. Under the blanket. The fire in the great stone fireplace has burned very low. The logs long since consumed. Only the deep bed of coals remaining, glowing red and orange in the dim room, giving off a steady, patient heat that asks nothing and offers everything. The candles have burned down, most of them to stubs, one or two already extinguished. The room is lit now more by the coals than by anything else. A red-orange glow. Deep and warm. The color of the inside of closed eyelids in summer sun. The color of warmth itself. You breathe in this light. And you breathe out. And the coals glow. And outside. Just beginning. Just at the edges. The darkness is changing. You rise. Slowly. The blanket slipping from your shoulders. Your body reluctant to leave the warmth of the seat but curious, drawn toward the window. The window through which the snow has fallen all through the night. You walk to it. Your steps quiet in the deep carpet. And you press your face close to the cold glass. And you look out. The courtyard below is still and white. More white than before. The snow has continued all night and the courtyard is deep in it now, every surface covered and smoothed, every sharp angle softened, every rough texture hidden beneath the perfect calm of accumulated snow. The bare trees stand in their white. each branch carrying its load of snow with the patience that is the only response available to a tree. And the stone basin in the center of the courtyard is invisible, buried entirely beneath. The night's accumulation, only a smooth white mound remaining where its curved rim once defined the air. And the sky above the courtyard. The sky above the courtyard is changing. It happens so slowly, this changing of the sky, that you cannot watch it change. Can only look away and look back and find it, subtly, undeniably, different. The absolute black of the deep night hours has retreated, has dissolved into something softer. A deep blue, but not the evening blue of yesterday's dusk, different, warmer at the edges, more complex. Like ink diluted in water, or like a cloth soaked with dark dye and then gradually wrung out. The darkness lifting, the color emerging, very slowly, from the east, where the mountains are, where the dawn comes from, where the first light will arrive when it arrives. Not yet, not quite yet, but soon. The sky says soon. The darkness says soon. The changing quality of everything says soon. You go back to the blanket and the seat, and you sit, and you watch the window, the rectangle of sky visible above the courtyard, watching it change, watching the darkness yield, very slowly, with something that is almost reluctance. The darkness, too, loves the mountains. The darkness, too, is beautiful here. And it gives itself up to the dawn as reluctantly as you have been giving yourself up to sleep. Slowly, with pauses, with a few false starts. A momentary brightening and then a deeper dark again. And then the brightening again. More certain this time. More committed. The birds. You hear them before you see the light. A single note. High and clear. From somewhere in the bare branches of one of the courtyard trees. A single bird. Trying the dawn. Testing the morning with one careful, tentative note. And then silence. And then a response. From somewhere further away. Another bird. Answering. And now the first one again. And now a third. From a different direction. A conversation beginning. A morning conversation. The simplest conversation in the world. I am here. I am here too. And I am here. The birds of the Alborz mountains waking to the dawn. One by one. Each one adding its voice to the morning as the darkness yields and the light comes. Very slowly. But coming. Unmistakably coming. The coals in the fireplace. Still glowing. Still warm. In the great pre-dawn light they look different from how they looked in the night. Less dramatic. More humble. Less like fire and more like memory of fire. But still warm. Still giving. Still present. Patient as everything in this castle is patient. Patient as the mountain. Patient as the snow. You look at them for a moment. Those last deep coals. And you feel something for them. Something almost like gratitude. They have burned all night for you. They have held the warmth in this room through all the hours of the mountain dark. And they are still here. Still warm. Still giving what they have left to give. You breathe. And the warmth from the coals touches your face. and you are grateful. The sky is distinctly blue now. Not the winter dusk blue of yesterday evening, but the blue of pre-dawn. The blue that exists only in that narrow hour before the sun comes. A blue that is the sky's own color. Unmixed with darkness, unmixed with light. The purest blue. The most essential blue. And in this blue, the last few stars. The brightest stars, the ones that hold their light the longest, still visible. But fading, softening, yielding gradually to the growing brightness around them. As the stars must always yield to the dawn. As the darkness must always yield. As all things must yield, eventually, to what comes next. The first color. There, at the edge of the sky. Above the eastern ridge. Above the highest peaks of the Alborz. A thin line of gold. So faint that you might think you imagined it. But you didn't imagine it. It is there. A thread of light at the horizon. The very first visible light of the sun that has been moving through the night toward this exact moment. And you breathe. And the thread brightens. Slowly. So slowly. A deepening of the gold. A spreading of the warmth. Like something waking. Like something stretching after a long night. Like something immense and patient finally opening its eyes. The sun. Coming to the Alborz mountains. Coming to Alamut Castle. Coming. Coming. The snow on the roof catches the first light. And it changes. From white to gold. From the cold white of the night to the warm gold of the morning. It does not look like the same snow. And yet it is. The same snow that fell all night. The same crystals, the same water, the same coldness. But in this new light. Golden. Luminous. Alive with the first warmth of the day. And you watch this change happen. This small miracle of light on snow. This ordinary extraordinary transformation. That happens every morning. That has happened every morning since the snow first fell on the first mountain. And will happen every morning for as long as there are mountains and snow and a sun moving through the night toward the dawn. You watch it. And you breathe. And it is beautiful. It is so simply and completely beautiful. The mist. It rises from the valleys. You can see it now, as the light grows, as the peaks emerge from the dark one by one, the mist rising from the valleys below in thin, translucent columns. White and gray and faintly pink where the dawn light catches them. Rising slowly, with the gentle purposelessness of morning mist. Not going anywhere in particular. Not hurrying. Simply rising. Because the warmth is coming. Because the cold air of the night is meeting the first breath of the morning's heat. Because that is what mist does when the morning comes to a mountain valley. It rises. Softly. Beautifully. Like the last dreams of the night lifting from the land. Like the valley breathing out. Like the world exhaling the long breath of winter darkness. And beginning, very slowly, to breathe the morning in. The birds are singing fully now. Not a conversation. A chorus. Many voices, many notes, overlapping and interweaving in the way of birds in the morning. A sound that is complex and simple at the same time. A sound that fills the courtyard below, and filters through the glass of the window, and fills this room, and fills the castle that has been so quiet through the night, now ringing softly with the songs of mountain birds welcoming the dawn. It is not a loud sound, not an insistent sound, not a sound that demands your attention, but a full sound, a whole sound, a sound that means morning. Morning has come. Morning has always come. And it is here. And it is here for you too. The gold on the peaks. It has spread. What was a thread is now a band. What was a band is now a wash. The whole eastern sky is warming now. Gold and amber and the palest imaginable rose. And below the colors, the mountains, emerging from the night as though being slowly revealed by a careful hand. Ridge by ridge, summit by summit, the Alborz range revealing itself to the morning light. Ancient and enormous and absolutely still, covered in snow, every surface white, every slope and peak and valley catching the new light and returning it. The mountains reflecting the sun that is coming, the snow conducting light, everything glowing, everything golden, everything awake. You look at it, from the warmth, from the blanket around your shoulders, from the cushioned seat by the window of Alamut Castle, and you watch the morning come to the Alborz mountains. And it is the most beautiful thing you have ever seen. Not because it is unusual. Not because it is rare. But because you are here for it. Because you stay through the night. Because you walked through the snow and through the gate and through the quiet corridors and the lantern-lit halls and the library of winter silence. Because you breathed through all of it. All the long night hours. And now the morning is here. And you are here. And the mountains are gold. And the snow is sparkling. And the birds are singing. And the mist is rising from the valleys. And the coals in the fireplace are warm. And the blanket is around your shoulders. And you are here. You are here. You are here. And now the strangest and most wonderful thing. Now that the morning is coming. Now that the light is growing and the birds are singing and the mountains are gold and the mist is rising. Now that everything outside is waking. Now, you begin to sleep. Deeply. Finally. Completely. As though your body has been waiting for exactly this. Waiting for the light to come before it would let go, waiting for the certainty of the morning before it would surrender to the rest it needs. And now the morning is here, and the surrender begins. Slowly, gently, with no resistance at all, like snow settling onto snow, like one breath following another. Like the night that just passed through this mountain valley, yielding to the dawn, with patience, with trust, with the complete confidence that what comes next is also good. Your eyes grow heavier. The mountains through the window become softer. The gold of the peaks less sharp. The edges of everything dissolving, warmly, into the warm blur of almost sleep. The birds are still singing, but their songs are softer now. Or your ears are softer. Or both. The sound coming from a greater distance. From the other side of a border you are crossing. Slowly, without effort. Just crossing. Just moving from one country into another. From waking into sleeping. from the world of stone walls and firelight and falling snow, into the other world, the one that waits for you on the other side of your eyelids, warm and vast, and yours, the mountains of the Alborz, their gold deepening as you close your eyes, the last image you carry with you, into the dark, gold on white, light on snow. The ancient peaks of the Alborz range in the first light of winter morning, holding everything, patient, permanent, beautiful. The snow sparkles on the ancient stones of Alamut Castle. You can feel it, even with your eyes closed. Even as you sink into the warmth of sleep, you can feel the sparkle of it, the way light moves on ice, the way the morning sun finds every crystal in the snow and returns it as light. The castle sparkling, on its ridge, on its mountain, in the Alborz, in the winter, in the morning, in the light, sparkling, and you are wrapped in warmth, and you are wrapped in peace, and the blanket holds you, and the seat holds you, and the castle holds you, and the mountain holds the castle, and the morning holds the mountain, and everything, everything, is exactly as it should be, and you breathe in the Alborz, out the snow, in the warmth, out the gold, in the quiet, out. The mountains are very still now, or you are very still, or stillness is simply everything now. The mountains and you and the snow and the morning light and the warm coals and the blanket and the birds' songs growing softer. All of it. One great stillness. One great quiet. One great warmth. And in it, you, breathing, slowly, deeply, quietly. The spirit of Alamut Castle, whatever it is, the patient thing that lives in old stones, in ancient walls built to endure, in the accumulated quiet of centuries of mountain winters. That thing, that gentle, enduring, enormously patient thing, is with you now, has been with you all along, since the first step on the mountain path, since the first snowflake on your sleeve, since the lanterns at the gate called you up through the dark, through every corridor and room and stairwell and watchtower, through the library and the hearth room and the quiet courtyard, through the whole long night. That thing has been with you, quiet, warm, utterly certain of your welcome, and it is with you now, as the morning comes, as the mountains turn to gold, as the birds sing and the mist rises and the snow sparkles on the ancient stones. It is with you, holding you, keeping you, carrying you, gently, into the deep and restful dark of sleep, where the mountains wait for you, still and golden, and the snow falls in a different way here, softer than soft, quieter than quiet, and you drift beneath it, into warmth, into rest, into the beautiful country of deep uninterrupted sleep. Sleep, sleep. The Alborz mountains hold the night, and the night holds the snow, and the snow holds the silence, and the silence holds you, gently, completely, forever. Sleep, sleep now. Sleep. The mountains breathe. And you breathe with them. Slowly. Deeply. Quietly. At rest. At peace. At home. In Alamut. In the snow. In the mountains. In the warmth. In the dark. In the quiet. In the deep. Restful. Beautiful. Endlessly peaceful. Sleep. Yendi.